America built the world's first stealth jet. Not a concept, not a prototype, not something hidden on a drawing board, but a real aircraft that flew straight into enemy airspace and came back untouched. It worked. It shocked the world. And then it vanished. There was no farewell flight on live television, no heroic last mission, no enemy victory parade. One day it was there, and the next day it was quietly gone, like it had never existed. Yes, I am talking about the legend F-117 Nighthawk. So, why was the F-117 retired if it was still winning? And here is the real question. Was it retired because it failed, or because it succeeded too well? Hold that thought, because we are not answering it yet. The name Nighthawk sounded aggressive, fast, almost poetic. But the jet itself was not built for speed or glory. It was built to hunt quietly in the dark and leave before anyone even knew it was there. This is the story most people believe about the F-117 Nighthawk. The jet was invisible until one night in 1999. Over Serbia, a radar supposedly found it, a missile locked on, and the invincible stealth jet fell from the sky. According to the popular version of events, that single moment changed everything. Stealth was exposed, the secret was out, the magic was gone. The myth says the Pentagon panicked, Congress lost confidence, and the F-117 was quietly pushed into retirement because it was suddenly no longer safe. This is what everyone thinks happened. One jet down, one myth shattered. End of story. But if that were really true, here's a question that never gets asked. Why did the F-117 continue flying missions after that shootdown? And why did pilots still trust it with some of the most dangerous targets on Earth? Yeah, something does not add up. It sounds convincing, right? One missile proves stealth is fake. Case closed. No, that is not how reality works. Stealth was never about invisibility. It was about being hard to see, not impossible to find. And that shootdown was not a technological failure. It was a human one. The F-117 Nighthawk flew similar routes at similar times against an enemy who stopped chasing magic and started studying patterns. If you walk the same dark alley every night, eventually someone notices. Stealth did not fail. Predictability did. Here is the part people love to ignore. Out of thousands of stealth combat missions, only one F-117 was ever lost in combat. One. If that counts as failure, then success needs a brand new dictionary. So, no, the F-117 Nighthawk was not retired because it got figured out. That idea is neat, dramatic, and completely wrong. Now, let us talk about what this jet really was. The F-117 did not come from a flashy design studio or a public competition. It came from secrecy. It was built by Lockheed inside a hidden division known as Skunk Works, a team famous for doing things nobody else would even attempt. This was not a project announced to the world. It was a quiet gamble, based on a radical idea that most people thought would never work, built in total darkness, both literally and politically. The program lived inside locked hangars in the Nevada desert. Workers often had no idea what other teams were building just a few meters away. Even its first flights happened under the cover of night, because no one wanted the world to know this aircraft even existed. The shape looked insane. Flat panels, sharp edges, angles everywhere. People joked it looked like it was built by accident. Some even doubted it could fly at all. But that strange shape was the entire point. It was not designed to look fast or powerful. It was designed to confuse radar, and in that role, it was perfect. Every angle on the F-117 Nighthawk was designed to scatter radar waves away from their source. Not absorb them, not fight them, just quietly redirect them into nothing. And here is a fun fact that sounds fake but is absolutely real. The aircraft was aerodynamically unstable. It could not fly on its own. Without computers, it would fall out of the sky. The flight control computers corrected the jet hundreds of times per second just to keep it level. This thing was literally unflyable without digital brains. Now ask yourself, in the early 1980s, how risky was it to trust your life to computers that much? Exactly. The engines were not exotic or glamorous. 2 modified turbofan engines were buried deep inside the fuselage, chosen not for speed or power, but for reliability and low visibility. The F-117 was subsonic. It was never meant to outrun anything. Its exhaust was flattened and cooled to reduce infrared signature. Even heat had to be stealthy. Another question worth asking, why build a jet that cannot fight other jets? Because it was never meant to. The F-117 Nighthawk was a precision tool. Fly at night, hit exactly what matters most, and leave before anyone realizes what just happened. If you are enjoying this story so far, hit subscribe on Elevon, because trust me, the next aviation legend is even crazier. During the Gulf War, pilots described flying through skies filled with anti-aircraft fire, entire cities lighting up, radar searching everywhere, missiles launching blindly into the dark. And yet, nothing touched them. The jet slipped through all of it. That raises another uncomfortable question. If it was this effective, why not keep improving it forever? Here is where things get uncomfortable. The F-117 had one real weakness, just one. It was built for a very specific kind of war, carefully planned missions, predictable environments, static targets, and intelligence gathered long before takeoff. Once airborne, the mission could not really change. There was no true real-time retasking, no improvisation, no sudden new objective. If something unexpected happened, the jet could not adapt. Now pause for a second. Modern war is nothing but unexpected. Targets move, information updates by the second. Decisions happen mid-flight. And the F-117 Nighthawk wanted everything decided before the wheels ever left the runway. That was not a flaw, it was a design choice. But design choices have expiration dates. So what happens when the battlefield evolves faster than the aircraft designed to fight in it? By the early 2000s, war was changing shape. Conflicts were no longer just about hitting fixed command bunkers. They were about networks, mobility, and information dominance. Aircraft needed to see the battlefield, share data, and coordinate with drones, satellites, and ground forces in real time. The F-117 could not talk much. Silence was its strength, but that silence slowly became a limitation. Stealth alone was no longer enough. Jets now needed stealth plus awareness, stealth plus adaptability, stealth plus teamwork. New aircraft were entering service that could do everything the F-117 Nighthawk could do and then keep going. So why not upgrade the F-117 to match that future? Because upgrading it would mean tearing out its core identity, its shape, its systems, its philosophy. At some point, upgrading becomes rebuilding, and rebuilding something born from 1970s logic does not always make sense. So the decision came quietly. Not in panic, not after defeat, but after evaluation. The Air Force looked at the future and made a call. The F-117 still worked, but newer platforms could cover more missions with fewer aircraft and far more flexibility. The jet did not lose relevance overnight, it was slowly overtaken by versatility. And this is the most important line of the entire story. The F-117 Nighthawk did not lose a war, it lost a decision, a strategic decision. Now let me ask you something directly. If you were in charge, would you retire a jet that still works perfectly, but only in one role? Or would you invest in something less perfect, but far more adaptable? Think about that. The F-117 was never meant to be loved. It was meant to work, and it did. It opened the door to modern stealth, then stepped aside so others could walk through. There was no parade, no final bow, just quiet hangars and covered silhouettes. Some legends burn out, others fade into silence. The Nighthawk stayed true to its name, even in retirement. Quiet, hidden, gone before most people noticed. So here's the real final question. If you had the choice, would you have retired the F-117 Nighthawk, or would you have kept the Ghost flying a little longer? Let me know what you think.